Welcome to Nairobi, the heart of distance running, where the 2025 World Athletics Continental Tour brings together the finest steeplechasers on the planet. In the men's 3,000-meter steeplechase, all eyes are on Kenya's Amos Serem, the rising star who's ready to dominate on home soil. With barriers, water jumps, and a roaring crowd behind him, Serum faces a stacked field of international challengers. Will he rise to the occasion and defend Kenya's legacy in this iconic event? Let's find out.
Time Asian champion in his first race since 2023. Be interesting to see if he can get back underneath 8:10. No way here. Pacemakers. Kiplanga is hoping to take them through the first half, and then Keino will take over. They're aiming for 2:45 per kilometre, 5:30 for 2K, because that gives you exactly 8:15, which, as I said, is the world qualifying mark. Plenty of world ranking points. Different nations apply different rules for how you qualify and selected to represent the nation at those world championships. Some nations say you have to hit the qualifying time, but many nations respect this world ranking system and the fact you might get an invitation from World Athletics. So lots of points up for grabs for these athletes.
Absolutely, yes. Well, we saw 5,000 metres in the warm-up programme, Hannah, about half an hour ago before we came on air, and they went out at 60-second per lap pace, and it very quickly reduced to 65, 66 and slower per lap, and the winning time ended up being 13:34 rather than the 12:30 tempo that they set out at. So the altitude does get you. You can feel fine for a few minutes, but very quickly it does grab you by the lungs and slow you down. I wonder if that'll be the case in this steeplechase. We'll see. They're looking for a quick tempo. They're looking for 2:45 at 1K, so 8:15 pace is what they're targeting. The meeting record at 8:17 is achievable, but at altitude that is great running. You've got to take off many seconds from that to get the equivalent at sea level.
Well, they were pretty swift there through the first 400 metres. That's the only lap they run as a full sort of 400 on the on the lane one of the track before they cut in and get involved with the water jump. And I think I clocked it around about 62, 63, which is sub 8 minute pace. And that's way too. But we said this yesterday. We had Miriam Bozanani of Tunisia win the women's event in Bydgoszcz yesterday with a really fast first K. That first kilometre is often a little bit faster. So I think we might see the same from these men, but the cumulative fatigue at 5,000 feet of altitude, it could really start to hurt in that last kilometre. But many of these athletes will spend much of the year training and competing up at altitude. So the pacemaker doing a great job, Kiplanga, at the moment. He spread the field out. That gives him plenty of opportunity to sight the barriers. And I've just lost sight of Edward Serem. No, he's still there, I think in third place. He must have just been hiding behind one of the other athletes. Edward Serem, the 17-year-old, not stepping on the water jump there, just flying straight over. Still in a very strong position. Could be heading for the kilometre split. It'll be coming up just before the start line, the start-finish line, some point between this barrier and the start-finish line. So they are very much on target for the meeting record and for that World Athletics qualifying mark.
Yeah, there we are, 2:43 for that first kilometre. That is quick, Hannah, 2:43.46. Wow, that's well, pretty much spot on 8:10 pace. I don't know if they'll be able to maintain this. Kiplanga, the first pacemaker, is only an 8:58 performer, but Wilberforce Keino, the second pacemaker, is an 8:21 performer. So he should be able to take the field through to halfway and beyond at this tempo, at a good solid tempo. It's setting up pretty well.
And Keino, you're right, Tim, that's just the sort of pacemaker you want to be taking you through that tough sort of middle kilometre. If he can get Edward Serem anywhere near sort of a kilometre to go or 800 to go, I think Edward Serem will be very pleased. Again, unorthodox, going straight over, not stepping on the barrier. You see the athletes that step on the barrier, they get further through the water, and then the idea is you sort of slow down less, whereas if you hurdle it, land in the deep end, you've got to fight your way up and out of it. But Serem, he looks absolutely fine with that technique, and you can't fault him.
But so many of the best hurdlers, particularly the Kenyans over the years, do hurdle the water jump. They don't put their foot on it, and they seem to do pretty well and break world records and so on. So there's a trade-off, isn't there, between the slowing down effect of putting a foot on the barrier or maintaining the fluency of hurdling the barrier, but landing in, as you said, maybe slightly deeper water, but going into the water and coming out of it at a greater speed. It's interesting argument for the biomechanics.
Well, I think the fatigue just sets it. I think you're all right hurdling everything maybe for the first kilometre. You're going to have to do probably six water jumps, and you're okay for a bit, but that fatigue's going to set in. Edward Serem there, he was just ushering Konez along, saying let's pick it up, and maybe he's saying to Konez, I'd rather you gave me fewer laps at a faster pace. They've been hitting 65-second laps, which would be underneath 8:10 pace. Edward Serem has gone under 8:10 3 times this year. He's had a great season so far. Second at the Shanghai Diamond League, and then third at Rabat, and a new personal best at 8:07. So he's lost patience with the pacemaker here, Edward Serem. He's decided he needs to go quicker. I think this will be 3 to go for the 17-year-old. And they have slowed 68. That was 3 seconds slower than the previous couple of laps. And I think that's why we saw Edmund Serem be frustrated with the pacemaker. And he's going to have a long run for home here. And the athletes are starting to gather behind him.
Yes, they are, but Serem is a really high caliber performer. I mean, as you say, only 17, but won the World Junior title last year when he was only just 17, and that was in Lima. And he looks strong here, doesn't he? He is lean, but he also moves really well. Skips over that one with no trouble at all. Doesn't have a perfect hurdling technique. 5:31 at 2K, 5:31.60. He's still on schedule, Hannah, to be well under 8:20. And actually that target of 8:15, the meeting record, remember, by Abraham Kibiwot from 5 years ago, 8:17.60, is under threat if he can work really hard this next couple of laps.
I think it's Kibuti Godana of Ethiopia. Nope, apologies, misreading that bib, just trying to make it out in the background there. I can't actually see this athlete on my start list. Daraba, there he is. Daraba is making inroads into Edward Serem here with 2 laps to go for the leader. And I wonder, the noise here in the stadium, it's pretty loud. The fans are getting excited about an event they understand and that they really enjoy. And Edward Serem, I think if that gap reduces any more, I think Daraba of Ethiopia, it will start to sense that he could get back on terms with the teenager, and that's the last thing you want to give the athlete behind you, any sort of hope that they could get involved.
Well, it says Daraba, I'm wondering if it's Deriba, Germa. There's a slight misspelling on that name for the athlete in second place, but Serem, if anything, pulling away now. That gap's probably about 17, 18 metres now. Penultimate time at the water jump. There's that technique. You can see he skips over it, hurdles it, but does land in deeper water. And there's a good example. The athletes put their foot on the barrier. They only get one foot marginally wet into shallow water. So, yeah, make up your own minds. And he's tired, Hannah, isn't he? Because he looked a little laboured at that water jump, and he stutters at that barrier there before the bell.
So Edward Serem, 17-year-old from Kenya, takes the bell. He has got a lead over Daraba of Ethiopia. They're both looking tired, those top two. Could be some attacks coming from further back down the field, but Edward Serem, World Junior Champion, that's something, it's a wonderful accolade. It's a very hard title to win. We mentioned the Kenyan dominance they used to have in this event. So many global titles back to back, the likes of Brimmer and Kiprutu, Ezekiel Kemboi, Conselsus, Kiprutu, and Keino, that this meeting is named after, won the steeplechase at the 1972 Olympics. And Edward Serem, he's still out in the lead at the moment with 200 metres to go, but there's a huge charge here. There's an athlete flying down the back straight. He could meet Edward Serem on the water jump here. Edward Serem, I'm not sure he's going to expect any company or have sensed the athlete closing behind him. Edward Serem, the fastest in the field. He should have something in reserve here. But he is coming under great pressure from Fikadu of Ethiopia. He's got a lifetime best of 8:44 set in this stadium a couple of years ago. But Serem does find something.
As the sun dipped behind the grandstands of Nairobi's iconic Ulinzi Sports Complex, the men's 3,000 meters steeplechase came to a dramatic close, and it was Amos Serem who stole the show. With the crowd roaring and the pressure mounting, Serum delivered a performance that was equal parts tactical brilliance and raw Kenyan grit. From the opening lap, Serum ran with poise, conserving energy while keeping a close eye on his international rivals. As the race unfolded, the barriers and water jumps tested every athlete's rhythm and resilience. But Serum's technique was flawless. He floated over the obstacles and surged when it mattered most. In the final lap, he unleashed a powerful kick that left the field trailing. With each stride, the cheers grew louder, and by the time he crossed the finish line, Nairobi erupted in celebration. Serum's time of 8 minutes and 27.68 seconds not only secured his first Keino Classic title, it marked a defining moment in his career and a proud chapter in Kenya's storied steeplechase legacy. This victory wasn't just about one athlete, it was about a nation reaffirming its dominance in one of the most grueling events in track and field. Serum's win sends a clear message: Kenya's steeplechase tradition is alive and thriving, and the next generation is ready to carry the torch. As fans file out of the stadium and the dust settles on the track, one thing is certain: Amos Serem's name now stands among the greats. And with the World Championships on the horizon, the world will be watching.